I got a really good feeling about this.
Was Kathleen Kennedy right all along? In 2017, Lord and Miller were fired for turning Han Solo into a quip machine. In 2026, they've finally proven her point. Project Hail Mary is a technical marvel. A green screen, practical puppets, incredible lighting, but it's also proof that Hollywood is now terrified of silence. It's a $250 million yes man audition for the MCU, sandpapering the most harrowing sci-fi book of the decade into a 7 or 8 out of 10 crowd pleaser. This isn't a hero's journey, it's a bimble.
$69, dudes!
In 2015, Ridley Scott gave us The Martian. It was the peak of what I call competence porn, watching a man sweat, starve and calculate his way through the literal dirt to survive. The physics weren't background noise, they were a character actively trying to kill him. It was gritty, it was silent and it felt heavy. Fast forward to 2026, same author, same screenwriter, but we've got a $250 million budget and the golden boys of New Hollywood, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller at the helm. The result? Project Hail Mary isn't a survival thriller. It's a hero's bimble. It's a $250 million TikTok edit of a 500-page physics problem, where every sharp edge of despair has been sanded down until the movie is as smooth and as shallow as a polished pebble. Look, Lord and Miller are masters of animation, and it shows in all the wrong ways. They're over 50 years old. They've lived through the era of older Hollywood way. They should know better, but they've brought animation brain to a live-action survival epic. In animation, silence is a waste of budget. Every frame has to be filled with stuff. They dread dead air. In their world, if a character isn't talking, moving, hey, winking at the camera with a pop culture reference, the audience might check their phones. The book is about a man waking up from a coma with zero memory, realizing he's the last hope for a dying species. In the book, his recovery takes weeks. You feel the atrophy. In the movie, it's a 3-minute montage. It's the Netflixification of pacing, where efficiency has murdered immersion. I'm not here sniffing my own farts telling you that the book is better than the movie. Not even comparing the two to an extent, but there are some things that have to be pointed out. It's no more clear than the smoothing out being more offensive than the food subplot. In the novel, food is a biological countdown. Grace's decision to save Rocky isn't just a nice thing to do, it's a literal death sentence written in nutrient paste. He doesn't have the calories to go back if he goes for Rocky. The movie turns that ultimate sacrifice into gags about bad ramen. This is what happens when you're butt-fucked into mediocrity by the Marvel and Disney slop era. Modern studios are terrified of making an audience uncomfortable. Tension must be resolved with a punchline. Let's talk about loneliness. In Castaway, Tom Hanks talks to a volleyball because if he doesn't, the silence will swallow him whole. In I Am Legend, the conversations with video store mannequins are some of the most heartbreaking scenes in the movie because you can see the crack in the psyche. Project Hail Mary? Ryan Grace builds a mannequin to dance with and he doesn't feel like a man losing his mind, it just feels like a bit. It's like Ryan Gosling doing the Lars and the Real Girl Easter egg for the audience, wink wink. They've taken the raw pain of being the last human alive and covered it in $250 million worth of bubble wrap. I've seen some comments online that the movie doesn't have a villain, and they're right. In the book, there was the Eva Stratz character and her internal rot of her moral compasses and the impossibility of the language. There was friction there. Hollywood thinks friction is boring, so they gave us the karaoke scene. In the book, Eva Stratz is a global dictator who would let a man rot in a cell to save the species. In the movie, we get Sandra Hüller doing a deadpan rendition of Harry Styles' Sign of the Times, a power ballad shortcut, using a pop song to do the emotional heavy lifting the script failed to build. By having Strat sing to alleviate the anxieties of her crew, the movie fires its only antagonist. She isn't the terrifying force of nature anymore, she's just a relatable boss lady. But we're kind of waiting for Lord and Miller to have their Russo brothers moment, and this was meant to be it. The Russos moved from the quirky sitcom energy of Arrested Development to the grounded political weight of The Winter Soldier.
I just blew myself. There's gotta be a better way to say that.
They learned how to change their tools for a bigger stage. But Lord and Miller haven't. They're still using the same frantic, joke-dense energy they used for their Lego movie. They didn't step up to this material, they dragged this material down to their comfort zone. And maybe that's why Kathleen Kennedy fired them from Solo all those years ago. She saw it coming. She knew that when you give the keys to the kingdom to directors who treat everything like a gag, eventually the kingdom feels like it's not worth saving anymore. And they really thought they had us with the practical effects pitch, yeah? No green screen, a tactile puppet for Rocky. They checked every box on the real cinema scorecard, but you can't build Soul out of silicon. To prove they've made it, Lord and Miller shove in an Amblin-style reference, having Grace whistle the 5-tone motif from Close Encounters of the Third Kind to communicate. It's a postmodern wink that shouts, "Look, we're making an all-timer," but it has the opposite effect. It breaks the immersion. It reminds you you're watching a movie made by fans, not a story lived by characters. Think back to the 1983 masterpiece, The Right Stuff. That movie didn't need to whistle at Spielberg to get its points across. It didn't need to reference the classics because it was a classic. It showed us the terrifying, fragile ego of the men inside the rockets. Lord and Miller used practical effects and Spielberg references as a brand new coat of paint on a very safe corporate machine. They gave us the physical weight of a spaceship, but they forgot the emotional weight of being a human being lost inside it. Why did they do it? Because this wasn't just a movie, it was an audition. Marvel was looking for directors who can balance spectacle with safe, phone-friendly humour. By smoothing out Project Hail Mary, Lord and Miller has signalled that they're the ultimate yes men. They've proved they won't pull a Solo on a studio ever again. They can toe the company line and turn a planetary extinction event into a masterpiece of joy that keeps the shareholders happy. Project Hail Mary isn't a bad movie. It's a good enough movie. But in a world where we're being conditioned to accept mediocrity, good enough is being hailed as a masterpiece. Lord and Miller didn't drop the ball, they just traded it for a $250 million gold-plated fidget spinner. They made a movie everyone can like, but in the process they forgot how to make a movie anyone can truly respect. Look, I'm not even mad, I'm just disappointed. Because the best we can hope for from hard sci-fi in 2026 is a ramen joke and a puppet, then maybe the void of space isn't the thing we should be afraid of. It's the silence of our own lowered expectations. Do better.
Would you like to know more?